You know, this is a gaming channel, but occasionally I like to do a different kind of video. In today's video, I wanted to give a top 5 countdown of fanboy wars. Yes, some fanboy wars that I have experienced in my life. Now, we all know what fanboy wars are, right? I mean, it's pretty much if I like one thing, another guy likes something different. For some reason, we will argue back and forth about why I don't like this. Why don't you like this? I don't like that. We all know what fanboy wars are. So yes, by me being a little bit older, some of these fanboy wars might be from the 80s, maybe from the 90s, maybe from today's time. But I just want to tell you guys what I've experienced in my life of the most intense fanboy wars. So let's get right to it, y'all. And leave in the comment section some fanboy wars that you guys have experienced. Sega versus Nintendo. Good old Sonic versus Mario. Now listen, this fanboy war started in the 80s. I would say the mid to late 80s, and it lasted to the mid 90s. And let me tell you guys something, this fanboy war was a blast. I was a kid, little black ass boy from Detroit, Michigan, going to school, and I was the only Sega guy that I knew. NES was dominating everything gaming, and I was the only guy that had a Sega Master System in my neighborhood. Everybody else was playing Mario and Zelda. They had Power Pad, Mike Tyson Punch Out, Double Dribble. I will play those games with them, but I was a Sega guy. So yes, I lost a lot of debates, fanboy war debates. Things got a little more interesting when the Sega Genesis came out, but ultimately Super Nintendo came out, and Sega did a lot of things that consumers didn't like. They kept on adding on to the Genesis, and then the Sega Saturn was crap, and that was it for Sega. Dreamcast was great, but we all know what happened with the Dreamcast. So yes, that was a great time in my life. That was one of my favorite fanboy wars, Sega versus Nintendo. NBA Live versus NBA 2K. Now first off, before y'all lose y'all mind, I am not talking about now. I am talking about in the mid 2000s. I'm talking about during the PS2 original Xbox era. Yes, during those times, NBA Live was the king of basketball games. Now, me personally, I was always a 2K guy ever since the Dreamcast. Even though NBA Live had the better sales, the game was more popular, I always felt that 2K had the better overall game. Now, I have a personal story about this fanboy war. I used to go play basketball every Wednesday at this school by my mother's house. And at this time, I was, my mid to late 20s. And I used to go play basketball. And this particular day, it was a Wednesday, and NBA 2K3 and NBA Live 2003 came out the previous day. So I was talking to some guy, I don't remember his name, but we used to, hoop every week. And he was talking about, yeah, man, NBA Live is amazing this year. It's incredible. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, but NBA 2K3, I think is better. And to make the long story short, we got into a heated, intense fanboy war debate. I was 2K, he was NBA Live, and we damn near started fighting. I mean, it sounds so stupid now, but that's how intense this fanboy war was. He was like, man, are you crazy? The analog right stick dribbling movement is amazing. And I'm like, oh, 2K3 got the great graphics and the great gameplay and blah, 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 blah. Yes, we damn near started fighting, but I think we realized how stupid it was and say, hey, man, that's your opinion, it's my opinion. So yes, NBA Live versus NBA 2K at one time was an intense fanboy war. Apple versus Android. Man, this fanboy war is still currently going on to this day. I still see stuff on Twitter about Galaxy phones do this, Galaxy phones are that, Apple phones are this, Apple phones are that, Apple's overrated, Galaxy is trash, Android as a whole is trash. So yes, that's a fanboy war that's still going on. And me personally, I'm an Android guy, but I have an iPhone also. My work phone is an iPhone. My personal phone is a Galaxy S9. So I have both phones and I enjoy both phones. It's not really a big thing to me now, but that wasn't always the case. At one time, I was pro Android and I used to talk shit about Apple people. I hated Apple people. I didn't hate Apple phones. I just hated Apple fans. They could be so obnoxious and just assholes at times, but I've calmed down a lot. But at one point in my life, this fanboy war was really intense. Hell, all of my kids, I have 4 daughters, all of them have Apples, and I have Android. Me and my wife have Androids, and they talk shit occasionally, but it's all good now. But yeah, this was a very intense fanboy war for me. The Monday Night Wars. This was the most fun part of my life. WWE versus WCW. Now, at this time, it seemed like everybody was watching professional wrestling. WWE had the Attitude Era, they had The Rock, Stone Cold. WCW had the NWO, Goldberg. It was absolutely amazing. I was a WWE guy, and in 1996, 1997, WCW was whooping WWE ass. And at that time, it wasn't good to be a WWE guy. But then when Stone Cold started to take off, and The Rock, and Triple H, and DX, and these were some amazing times. And I had intense debates. I knew some younger kids, and they said high school, it was ridiculous with the WCW versus WWE debates. And this was one of my favorite fanboy wars of all time. I still watch these videos on the WWE network. I love the Monday Night Wars. And I'm glad to say that I was alive and watching these things when it was happening. Good time. Yes, of course, number one is going to be Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4. This fanboy war started in 2013 and is still going on to this day. Now, there's not that many Xbox guys left because PlayStation has been dominating and this generation has been underwhelming for the Xbox One. But man, this fanboy war, for me personally, it's the most toxic. It's the most disrespectful. I'm assuming this is because of social media. We all know, with the exception of Apple versus Android, every other topic on this list, there was no social media. So, of course, with social media being there, fanboys have a platform. Before, it just used to be talking in front of your friends, debating with your friends, guys after school. Now you can debate with the whole world. And that, of course, makes things more toxic. Because if you don't win a debate, you talk about people, you call them names, you talk about people's mothers, their wives, their kids, and that's where it gets ridiculous. It gets crazy, it gets stupid. Now, as an Xbox guy, I will admit this generation has been below average. PlayStation has been dominating and they will continue to dominate. But next generation will be a lot of fun. But I just wanted to say, these are my top 5 fanboy wars that I have experienced in my life. If you appreciate the video, please hit the like button. If you stumble upon my channel and you think I'm decent enough, why don't you subscribe? All right, everybody. Peace and love. Peace and love.